So we're going to make the baby blanket, and this one is not to scale, but I just wanted to show what, in miniature, what your baby blanket will look like bigger. And you can see there is a slight curve, very minimal, and I've never had anybody ever complain about the slight curve or even notice it, but someone had mentioned it, so I just want to say that yes, there is just a little, very minimal amount of curve, so if you don't like that in your baby blanket, then you may want to do a different baby blanket. Okay, so the yarn that you're going to need for this project is the Caron Simply Soft, and this is the white colored yarn. You're also going to need your J hook or 6mm crochet hook, and your tapestry needle and a pair of scissors. So the first thing we're going to do is do a slip knot. So you're just going to take your yarn and just fold it over to form a loop, and then you're going to take your crochet hook and just put it right through the loop, and then just hold the loop at the base with your middle finger and thumb, and then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and then bring the yarn through your loop for your slip knot. And that's how I do my slip knot. And now I'm not going to make this baby blanket to scale. For your baby blanket, you're going to chain 102, but I'm going to chain 25. So I'm going to show you how to do the first 4. Just going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through your loop for 1 chain, 2, 3, 4. And you can see how it's forming a chain. You're going to do that, and for your baby blanket, you're going to chain 102, but for the video, I'm just going to chain 25 for the sample baby blanket to show you how to do it. So come back after you've finished chaining 102. Okay, so I finished my chain of 25, but again, I'm not doing mine to scale. So for yours, you should have completed 102, unless you're going to do a test blanket along with me, and then you would just follow along with me. But if you're making your real baby blanket, you would just chain 102. So now we're going to move up to the next row, and you're just going to hold that last stitch that you made with your middle finger and thumb, and you're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's going to be your first double crochet. So now we're going to do a double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, which is the stitch that I'm holding. So go ahead and yarn over, and then go into that 4th chain from the hook, bring up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, so yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So now I've completed 2 double crochet. So for this second row, we're just going to do a standard double crochet stitch into every chain back to the beginning. So I'm going to do a couple with you. You're going to yarn over. You're going to go into the next stitch. You're going to bring up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So I'm going to do 2 more with you. We're going to do double crochets all the way back to the beginning. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. And you can see how I'm forming double crochets all the way back. Do 1 more, yarn over, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So go ahead and finish doing double crochets all the way back to the beginning, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so you should have finished just a regular double crochet all the way back to the beginning, and your work should look like this. So now we're going to do the unique pattern for this baby blanket that makes it so pretty. So the first thing we're going to do is just chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then that's your first double crochet for the next row. Go ahead and turn your work, And now here you can see how you have a little bit of an upslope at the base of this first double crochet. You're not going to work into this stitch. You're going to work into the next stitch over. And on this stitch, you can see that you have the back loop, and then you also have the front loop. So we're going to be alternating working into the back loop and the front loop. So you're going to take your crochet hook, and then we're going to do the back loop first. So you're going to yarn over. You're going to go in the middle of the next stitch into that back loop. You're going to bring up a loop, and then you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. And then you're going to yarn over, you're going to go right into the center of the next stitch, but you're going to go into the front loop only. So only the front loop. And then you're going to bring up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. And that's how we're going to be alternating the pattern. And it creates just a beautiful pattern stitch for your baby blanket. So I'm going to do a couple more with you. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go right into the center of the next stitch, into the back loop only. You're going to bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. Yarn over, go into the center of this stitch into the front loop only. Bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. And it just creates a beautiful pattern as you work. So I'm going to show you just a few more. And you can see how I'm just alternating the back loop with the front loop as I do my double crochets. And this makes a quick and easy baby blanket. And also, when I use the Caron Simply Soft, I only needed 2 skeins of the Caron Simply Soft yarn. But if you wanted, to make sure that you had enough for the shell border, you may want a little bit of the third one, but you should be able to, depending on what size that you want to make your baby blanket, you should be able to make the whole baby blanket with only 2 skeins of this yarn. And this is how it should look so far. So I'm going to do 2 more with you, and then I'll just let you finish up. So I'm going to yarn over. I just did the back loop, so I'm going to do the front loop. So I'm going to go into the center of the next stitch into the front loop only. Bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over, go into the center of the stitch into the back loop only. Bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. So go ahead and finish alternating the double crochet in the back loop and front loop all the way to the end, and then come back and I'll show you how to turn and do the next row. I'm close to the end, and you can see that I have 3 stitches left. The reason I'm going to show you how I work these last 3 stitches is because I've had some people tell me they had trouble working to get to the next row, so I'm going to show you how I do it. So I just finished the back loop on my previous stitch, so I'm going to yarn over, go into the center, and go into the front loop, bring up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over, go into the back loop, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So here on this last stitch, you don't want to forget it because sometimes it looks like you're done and then you want to go to the next row. But if you forget this stitch, then your work is going to come out crooked. And then sometimes it's hard to grab the right loop. So sometimes I'll just grab the back loop always on that last stitch, even though I did a back loop on the previous. So I'm just going to yarn over, go into that last stitch, into the back loop. I'm going to bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So that way I always grab that last stitch. So then now to move to the next row, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to turn my work. And now the same thing. You can see how I have the little upslope at the base of this first double crochet, so I'm not going to be working into this stitch. I'm going to be working into the next stitch over. And then I'm just going to start with the back loop. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the next stitch into the center, into that back loop only. I'm going to bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. Then I'm going to yarn over, go into the center of the next stitch, into the front loop only. I'm going to bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. So go ahead and finish doing your double crochets, alternating back loop, front loop, all the way back, and then I'll show you, when we get close to the end, I'll show you how to do the last stitches and turn for the next row. Here's how your baby blanket should be looking. And now I have 2 stitches left on this row, and I just finished the back loop, so I'm going to do the front loop. I'm going to yarn over, go into the center of the stitch and bring up and go through the front loop only and bring up a loop. I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. Now I have this last stitch that I need to work into, and in the last stitch I'm always just going to grab that back loop no matter where I was on the previous stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up that back loop, go through that back loop and bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to turn my work over. You can see how beautiful the pattern looks. And now I'm just going to go and do the same thing for this row. I'm going to yarn over, go into the next stitch into the back loop only, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. Then I yarn over, go into the center of the next stitch into the front loop only, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. So go ahead and finish doing your double crochets, alternating back loop and front loop all the way across, and then the last few stitches I'll work with you again to show you how to change to the next row. Alright, so your work should be looking like this. And now I just did the front loop, so I'm going to go ahead and crochet into the back loop. I'm just going to yarn over, go into the center of the stitch, into the back loop only, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. And now I have 2 stitches left, 1, 2. I'm going to go into the front loop, yarn over, go into the center of the next stitch into the front loop only, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So here, even though mine has worked out where I worked in the front loop and now I'm going to work in the back loop, like I said, it's okay if you always just work into the back loop of that last stitch. It won't affect how your baby blanket will look in appearance. because I had someone who had asked me that question. Go ahead and yarn over and go into that back loop of that last stitch and bring up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So you can see how you have a straight edge for your baby blanket along the bottom and the side. That's what you want. If you miss that stitch, then your blanket will slant or go crooked, and that's what you don't want. So make sure you always work into that last stitch, and then you're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then you're just going to repeat for all your rows of the baby blanket. That's the simple pattern that's going to make a beautiful baby blanket. Here is what my work looks like so far, and I have 14 rows for the coupon holder that I'm making. What I'm going to do though is, because I started with double crochet on the bottom here, I'm going to finish with double crochet at the top. So when you finish your baby blanket, as far as how the length that you want your baby blanket, when you're done with that, then you can do your double crochet row at the end as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to turn your work. And as you can see also, before I finish the double crochet across the top, how straight your edges are when you do your work that way. So this is how, if you didn't miss any stitches, this is how rectangular your baby blanket should end up. So for my last row of double crochet, again, you can see the upslope at the base of this first double crochet stitch. So now in the next stitch over, I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch over, and I'm going to go under both loops. And then I'm going to bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So I'm going to do just standard double crochet in both loops all the way across, yarn over, go into the next stitch, under both loops, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. So go ahead, finish 1 double crochet into every stitch all the way back to across the row, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. I am almost to the end. I have 2 stitches left. I'm going to go ahead and finish doing my double crochet into those last 2 stitches, yarn over, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. And then the last double crochet into my last stitch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my work to the side, and I'm going to start doing single crochets all the way around the border of my baby blanket back to the beginning. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into this space. So here you can see the double crochet. I'm going to be working into the space underneath that double crochet. So I'm going to go into that space with my crochet hook. I'm going to bring up a loop. I have 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over and go through both for a single crochet. And then I'm going to do another single crochet into the same space. So I have 2 single crochet along that double crochet. And then you see how you have this little stitch. Let me get a tapestry needle to show you. So here, in between each double crochet, you have a space here. You're going to be doing just 1 single crochet into that space, and then 2 single crochet into the space underneath each side double crochet. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So now I'm in that space in between the 2 double crochet. I'm going to do a single crochet there. And then underneath the next double crochet, I'm going to do 2 single crochet. 1, 2, and then I have that space in between the 2 double crochet. I'm going to do a single crochet there. And you're going to do that all along the side of the baby blanket. And you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. It's easier on the top and bottom because you have single crochet stitches that you just do 1 single crochet into every stitch along the length of the bottom and the top. But I'm going to show you how to turn each corner and start the next row. So I'm going to have you finish doing the single crochet into the stitches like I showed you all along the side of the baby blanket, and then come back and I'll show you how to turn the corner. I finished doing my single crochets all along the side. So now this is my last double crochet along the side. So I'm going to do 2 single crochet into that spot. 1, 2, and then I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to do 1 more single crochet in the same space. 1, and then in the first single crochet along the top or the bottom, I'm going to do a single crochet and I'm going to bury the yarn, loose yarn end. If you come across it, you'll try to bury that as well. And then just bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet. And then what's easier about the top and bottom, like I said, is you can just do 1 single crochet into every stitch. And they're easy to see. So you're going to do that all the way across, just 1 single crochet across the top or bottom until you get to the next corner, and then I'll help you turn that corner. Okay, so I'm just going to call this the top. So I finished my single crochet across the top and I have 2 stitches left. So I'm going to do a single crochet into the next stitch. And now this next stitch is my first double crochet along the side. So I'm going to go into the space underneath that side double crochet. I'm going to bring up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet, and then I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to do 2 single crochet in that first corner underneath that side double crochet as I'm turning. 1, 2. So now I have that space in between my 2 double crochets. Then I'm going to do my single crochet just like I did on the other side. So just like on this opposite side, you're going to do the exact same pattern on the other side. So now I have my first side double crochet between the 2 side double crochets. I'm going to do a single crochet. And I'm going to do 1 more. So 2 single crochets underneath that side double crochet, and then in the space in between I'm going to do a single crochet, and I want to repeat that pattern all the way around to the next corner. So when you get to the next corner, come back and I'll help you turn the corner. I finished doing the single crochets around this side, the top, and the other side. So I have my last double crochet on the side before I turn the corner across the bottom. So I'm going to go into that space and I'm actually going to do 3 single crochets in this corner space. 1, 2 for underneath that side double crochet, and then 1 more for the turn. And then I'm going to turn my work and then do my single crochet in that first stitch. And then I'm just going to do one single crochet into every stitch all the way back across the bottom. So go ahead and do that all the way across back to the bottom, and then I'll show you how to slip stitch, and then we'll start our shell border. I finished doing my single crochets all around the blanket. So now I'm going to do a single crochet into my last stitch before I get to the first single crochet that I did for the border. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and do my last single crochet, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch into that first single crochet I did for the border. So I'm going to go into that stitch, both loops. I'm going to yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. And then you're going to do a single crochet into that same stitch. So you're going to go into that same stitch, bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet because we're going to start our first shell. So then you're going to yarn over, go into the same space, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook. You're going to yarn over and go through all 3 loops on your hook for your first half double crochet. Now we're going to do 2 double crochet in the same space. Yarn over, go in the same space, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. I'm going to do 1 more double crochet in the same space. And then we're going to do a half double crochet in the same space. Yarn over, go in the same space, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through all 3. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the same space. Then we're going to skip a stitch and then go into the next stitch over. Actually, we're going to go ahead and skip 2 spaces. So we're going to skip this next stitch and the next stitch. So 2 stitches, and then go into the next stitch over for a single crochet. And then we're going to do a half double crochet in the same space. So yarn over, go in the same space, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. Then yarn over, go in the same space, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. We'll do another double crochet in the same space. And then we're going to do a half double crochet, same space. And then you're going to do a single crochet in the same space. You can see the beautiful shell pattern that you're creating. I'm going to show a couple more shells so you'll get the hang of how to do the shells across the baby blanket. First, you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2. So go ahead and skip 1, 2, and work into that 3rd stitch. You're going to do a single crochet, and then you're going to do a half double crochet, 2 double crochet, half double crochet, and a single crochet. Then you're going to skip 2 spaces, 1, 2, work into that 3rd space or stitch, bring up a loop for a single crochet, then you're going to do a half double crochet, 2 double crochet, half double crochet, a single crochet. And you can see how you're forming your shells across the side of the blanket. So go ahead and finish that pattern all the way around to the end, and then I'll show you how to turn the corner. This is how your work should be looking. And as you can see, the shells are laying flat along the side. So now we're going to work around the corner. You're still going to skip your 2 stitches and then do a single crochet into that 3rd stitch along the side. So I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet, and then I'm going to do a half double crochet, and then 2 double crochet, and then a half double crochet, and then a single crochet. Now you're just going to skip only 1 stitch and then work into the 2nd stitch. So you're going to do a single crochet into the 2nd stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet, and then you're going to do a half double crochet in the same stitch, and then a double crochet, another double crochet, half double crochet, and then a single crochet. Now you want to skip 2 stitches and work into the 3rd stitch again. So you're going to skip 1, 2, and do a single crochet into the 3rd stitch. And then you're going to work your shell. So I'm going to do a half double crochet, 2 double crochet, half double crochet, and a single crochet. And then you can see how your baby blanket will look. So you may have just a little slight curve, but it's very minimal and barely noticeable. And you have a beautiful baby blanket with a beautiful shell around it. So I'm going to have you finish doing the shells, and you're going to do the same way around the corners back to the beginning, and then come back and I'll show you how to slip stitch and finish up your baby blanket. Now I'm coming back, and I'm almost back to where I started, and I have on mine I have 3 stitches left, and I'm going to go ahead and just do one more shell. I'm going to skip 2 spaces and do a shell into that space. And after I've done that shell, then I'm going to do a slip stitch into the base of the first shell that I did. So I'm going to go into that stitch right at the start of the next shell, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch. I'm going to yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on my hook for a slip stitch. And then I'm going to finish off. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull quite a bit extra through because I've had some people say that their knot has come out. I've never had that problem, but just to be extra sure, just bring an extra amount of yarn through, and we're going to use our tapestry needle to bury the loose yarn in, and I'll show you how to do that. So you just pull it tight and snug. And you can see how you have your beautiful baby blanket. So some people have said that they were concerned about a little bit of a curve in the blanket. So there is a little bit of a curve, but not much, barely noticeable, and it's never stopped anybody from thinking that this blanket was beautiful. And I've actually sold some of these blankets. Okay, so now you're going to take your tapestry needle and you're just going to take your loose yarn end, just put it onto your tapestry needle, and then you're just going to take your tapestry needle and you're just going to weave it through. And I like to go through more than just once with my tapestry needle. You can see how I'm just weaving it through my work. And I'm just going to do it a couple times just because some people have said that they have had their yarn ends or knots come undone with the Caron Simply Soft. So I'm just going to show you how I just kind of bury it through. And then once you've buried it enough to where you are satisfied, you just go ahead and cut that loose yarn end. And then you can't even see it on your blanket. You are now done with your tester baby blanket or your real baby blanket. Some people may have done the tester like me. If you want to, you could either use this for one of your baby dolls that you have, or you can do like I'm doing and use the tester to make a little coupon wallet. And how I'm going to do that is you're going to need your tapestry needle with some of your white yarn on the tapestry needle because we're going to sew the sides. So go ahead and find out which side you want to have as your right side. I'm going to use this as my right side, and this will be my wrong side. Okay, so you can see how I folded up the bottom portion of the baby blanket, and I have my right side showing, and I left 1, 2, 3 rows open for the top to flap down. And then I just took my tapestry needle and then I just sewed the sides, making sure that you take both the front and the back side and sew them together on both sides. And this is how my work is looking now. So now I'm just going to take my loose yarn ends and then I'm just going to bury them. And how I bury them is I just take and just weave my tapestry needle through the side. That way no one can see them. And you can bury it as much as you like. And I'm just going to cut it. So go ahead, sew your sides together, and then just bury your loose yarn ends, and then come back and we'll see the finished product. So here is the coupon wallet that I made out of the tester, and it had a total of 15 rows. And it has 3 rows for the top portion that's going to flap over. And you can see how it looks and how it looks on the back. And you can just put the coupons in the inside or whatever you want to use for the inside of the wallet.